right, so now that we have created a custom domain name in Azure for Men of Valor and another one for holiness. What is the domain name again? Holiness.world. So we're going to come over here. Remember, I'm doing this one on my Google Cloud platform, separate from Azure altogether. I'm going to create another machine here, and I'm going to call this one. Let's call this one DC2. DC2. Gonna leave it in the same zone, or if I like, I can actually put it in a completely, totally different zone. So instead of putting it in central one that this other one is, I'm actually going to come over here and put it in US. Let's see if I can put it in US East 1. Okay, put it in US East 1. I'm going to give it 2 core, just like I did for the other one, and I'm going to put Windows 2012 R2 Data Center on it. Be careful not to install Data Center Core, otherwise you will have to install it all over again. And I've started the installation of the second one. I'm going to try now to generate a password for the first VM. Now, notice something here, that sometimes this process may be a little bit slow, especially if you have another VM being created in the background. I'm going to come over here, launch my RDP session, and I'm going to just overwrite what I had there before. And I'm going to proceed to log on to this VM. And once I log on to this VM, the next thing I'm going to do is to make sure that I set up a domain controller that reflects those new domain names that I've registered in Azure Active Directory. So I'll go over here and copy the name again. The first one that I had done earlier was for Men of Valor here. So I'm going to copy that. And I'm going to come over here and I'm going to install Active Directory, Domain and Services. Go ahead and do that installation. And I'm working with just 2 domain names here. I can go ahead and type it out here, so you could see. And the other domain name is holiness.world. And here is that domain name as well. So that's what we're going to work with throughout. I'm going to log on to the second VM, if that is ready. And note that I'm installing 2 VM here because I want to show you the scenario of when you have 2 domains that you want to migrate to the cloud. In many cases you only have one, but I want to see in the event that you have a larger organization with different domain names that need to be migrated to the same instance in the cloud. When you get these kind of messages, don't be discouraged. Sometimes the VM is still being created in the background, and I will just go back to where my my icons are. And here is it here, and here is the second one. Let's see if I can get it out of the way. If not, here you go. And then we are logging on to this VM now. You're going to go ahead and promote the remote controller for the first one here. And here is when I'm going to need that domain name that I created, that I copied out earlier. This one is going to be for Men of Valor. And Hardee New Forest. You can see I'm creating a domain name that reflected exactly the domain name that I purchased on the external public, well-known registrar, and I've registered that domain name with Azure Active Directory. You're going to come over here and specify your password. It's still thinking, so I'm going to jump on the other one to save the amount of time we're going to spend for the recording on the video. So I'm going to come over here and try to install Active Directory as well. Domain services. So this is going to continue to install. I'll jump right back to the first machine here. Yep, it's still going. You might experience a little bit latency with the speed here. Sometimes I couldn't explain exactly why. I'm not sure, but just be patient over here, and we'll get through it. There you go. And here I'm going to enter my password. With your password here, I would recommend that you use something that you're going to remember. If you forget your password, then you might need to start over, not here, but sometimes, down the road. So it's better you try not to forget your password. Jump right into this one here, and we're going to come over here to add the new domain, and here it's going to be holiness.world. I know you're wondering, this is a weird domain name, but it works, and obviously it's publicly recognized. So many of you guys have seen this so many times, and that is because if you read it, it's telling you that the prerequisite, which is the local admin account, doesn't meet the password complexity. To solve that problem very easily, go to Computer Management. Under Computer Management, Local User, go to User here, right-click, and set the password here. This password I'm going to use it later when I want to log on to the domain. So it's a good thing if you don't forget it. And you know what? As a rule of thumb, since this is just a lab, keep your password consistent across. So that way you don't have to use multiple passwords and then try to remember. So I'm going to go to next again, and this time around it should go without any issue. This one is still working, so I'm going to flip over here. And we're going to wait for this to get done. After this stage, is going to be in a kind of a self autopilot, and it will restart itself. And I think at that point we will have gotten to somewhere relatively where the system is going to restart itself. So you have to give it like 2 minutes. So after this point, this thing is going to continue to go for a little while, and then it's going to restart itself. You will lose RDP session, don't worry about that. Wait for like 2 minutes and then start to connect again, and I think you should be good to go. Let's go ahead and check the second one. Still thinking. Okay, so here. And again, we'll run into the same problem again. So now you can see how I have both two machines still working. And as I've told you earlier on, this is going to restart itself. They both will restart themselves. So don't worry if you temporarily lose access to your machine. Go to next here. Go to next. Go to next. We will do the same thing that we did earlier over here. We're going to go to computer management. Go ahead and reset your local admin password. Use the same password to save you the stress of having to remember a little password. Go to OK. Bring this back up again. Go to previous. Go to next. And see now, this is about to restart. And this other one is going to follow suit shortly. So I'm going to go ahead and click install here. And this is going to go. And like the previous one, is going to do the same thing. It's going to go ahead and restart itself.